Okay, continuing on. This number 13 requires us, again, to combine like terms before we go forward with solving this problem. And what are the like terms here? Well, there's a p term, right? P is the variable, it's a variable term. And there's this negative 3p term, right? You can see this is subtracting a positive 3p, or just see the whole thing together as negative 3p. Either way, you're going to have this 6p and then reduce it by 3p for a total of 3p. You still have the negative 2 here, and then equals 16. Okay? Now what do we do from here? We just solve it like regular. We're undoing what's being done to p. The first thing that we have to do is add 2 to both sides. So I'm doing it on the same line instead of saying plus 2 below it. So what does that look like? This looks like this equation and this equation are equivalent equations, meaning that the same solution, the same value for p is the solution to it. Okay, so what do we do? I just said plus 2. I wrote the same thing with plus 2 on it on that side. I wrote the same thing with plus 2. Okay, why am I doing that? To undo this minus 2 and get rid of it. And so what you see as a result is 3p equals, and then what this is simplified, 16 plus 2 is 18. Now what's happening to p? It is being multiplied by 3. How do you undo that? You undo that with divided by 3. So divide both sides by 3. And when you simplify that, 3 divided by 3 is 1p, or just p, and 18 divided by 3 is 6, so p equals 6. That's the solution as far as we believe it. How do we show that we are right? Well, we write a proof, and the proof always starts with, do you know what? You're right. It is the original equation unchanged. If you're not doing that, don't be surprised if I kick it back, because there's nothing that you need to like learn or understand conceptually. It's just you start with the original equation. Next line, rewrite it exactly the same way, but wherever there was wherever there was a variable, there's a p here, you put parentheses, and this value of p, 6, inside. Here's another p, so put parentheses, and then 6 inside. Okay? And then we have to first, because now what we're doing is now we have an algebraic, we have a numeric expression. There's no variables in there anymore. Okay? Since it's just numbers, we don't need this side at all to help simplify this. We can treat this simply as an expression that we simplify. And how do we do it? Order of operations says we do the multiplication first. So we multiply that 6 times 6. And we can do this in the same step because they won't interact with each other. Like doing this at the same step isn't going to affect it. So we say, okay, 6 times 6 is 36. Negative 3 times 6 is negative 18. And now we're following order of operations, and we come from the left-hand side first and do what we get to first in terms of addition or subtraction, and that's this, 36 minus 2, so that's 34. Everything else stays the same, minus 18 equals 16. And then we combine these two, 34 minus 18. Actually bother to do the math and make sure that you're coming up with the right number. But as it turns out, 34 minus 18 is 16. And on the other side, it also said 16. So 16 equals 16 means we give it a check mark, and we're done.